Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Susan and this is Slangel Designs. If you have seen the live that was done this past week, you'll know I showed you what I'm referring to as the Frosted Petals Blanket. And this is going to be the tutorial for it. The size I ended up being 36 by 38 inches. So it is a baby size blanket. Pretty simple. It's a 1 row repeat once you get your initial row, foundation row done. And then I'm going to walk you through the border that I put on and how, if you run into some of the issues I ran into, not really an issue. Sometimes when you're doing your single crochet around, after you've completed your main area, you may be off by one on one side, one on the other, just because when you're doing the sides, you're kind of eyeballing where you're going to put your stitches, your single crochet, so that it doesn't cause puckers and buckles. So the thing is, if you run into the same situation, I guess we'll call it, as I did, it's very easy to rectify the corners and you don't notice that there was maybe a stitch missed, because you can fix it all in the corner and you can kind of work around it. You can fake it till you make it kind of thing. It's very forgiving is what I'm saying. So anyway, this is super soft. You will need, I used the Caron baby cakes in petals. Now you can use whichever yarn you choose to. It doesn't have to necessarily be this, but this was a 4 worsted weight, machine washable and dryable. You'll need not quite, this is what I had left over of the second cake. I had 2 cakes. And this one is, like I said, 4 medium weight. Now it did recommend a 5mm hook, but I bumped my hook up to, I want to say, I bumped mine up to the 6.5 because I wanted it to be a little more like airy and lighter. I didn't want it too dense of a fabric when it's for a baby. This one is machine wash and dryable, which we love for baby blankets. Then for the border, you're going to keep using some of the petals, and you're going to use some, I use loops and threads, soft classic and white. As long as you have a 4 weight white or whatever color you want to use on the border, you're golden. But I'm calling this the Frosted Petals because the white's on the outside. So the petals have been frosted. So this works up super quick. I did this in just a couple nights sitting watching TV. The border was a little longer. Didn't take too long, but the border took a little bit more concentration, I guess is a better way to put it. But this, I would classify this as a very beginner friendly pattern. And eventually the pattern will be making it up to the website, which I will put the link to in the description below. But again, you could easily do this pattern with whatever yarn you wanted. Even if you drop it down to a 3, you might want to make a little swatch just to see, the 6.5 size hook is going to be too big for that. Try using what they recommend on your ball band. The only thing is you're going to have to adjust your starting chain. And I don't have the numbers, that you'd have to make a swatch just to see, like if you did say 21 or however, because the pattern's multiples of 3 plus 1. So if you did a little swatch and you're like, okay, that many starting chains works out to be this many inches, you can do the math to see how big or small you need to adjust for your starting chain. Because you could easily turn around and make this into like a full-size lapgan or a throw, or even for on your bed. Okay, so we're calling this the Frosted Petals Blanket. Super easy, super quick. And I'm going to take you over to the close-up camera and I'm going to get started on the tutorial. I'm just going to do a small swatch. I'll walk you through everything though, because all you're going to be doing is just making a bigger multiple starting chain, and I'll show you the border. And hopefully, and if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the comment section, or if you pop by the lives on Thursday nights at 8 o'clock Atlantic, you can drop a question in the chat and I'll be glad to help you out. All right, so let's head on over. Okay, so as mentioned, I'm using the Caron baby cakes in soft petal. So for this pattern, which is a multiple of 3 plus 1, what you're going to do is start with your slip knot on your hook and I'm using a 6.5 millimeter. Now let me just, my cake is coming undone, so I'll move that over to the side there. So multiple of 3 plus 1. So what I'm going to do is just do a small swatch. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So multiple of 3 plus 1 means you'll do 3, 3, 3, 3, 3 until you got the length you want, and then you'll just add 1. So I'm at 9. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 1, and 22. So multiple of 3, so 3 times 7 is 21, plus 1 is 22. I am completely knotted up here in my yarn. Such a shame that you can't just get a nice even center pull of the yarn without it being a complete tangled yarn burst. All right, so then what you're going to do, and now some people like to use the back bumps of their starting chain, totally up to yourself. All right, some people find it makes it easier when you're going to do your borders, so personal preference. So then for the row 1, which is just your kind of our starting foundation row, we're going to put a single crochet, half double crochet, and a double crochet all in the 4th chain from the hook. So don't forget, the one on your hook doesn't count. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Sorry, my chair is squeaking. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to put a single crochet, a half double crochet, and a double crochet, all in the same. And the starting row, your foundation row, is always a little fiddly until you can get some material to hold on to. So then we're going to skip the next 2 chains. So 1, 2, and then the third one from where you're at, you're going to put a single, half double crochet, and a double. Then we're going to repeat that. And don't worry how it stretches out. It will all work out in the end when you get your border and everything on, all right? So we're going to skip 2, the third one from your hook. You're going to do a single, half double, and a double. And we're going to keep repeating this as we go across. So again, skip 2, and the next one, we're going to do a single, a half double crochet, and a double crochet. There's what we got so far. Not looking too bad. So again, skip 2, 1, 2, and the third, we do a single, a half double crochet, and a double crochet. So these are all like your basic stitches, and we're just going to build on them and make things look awesome. Okay, so skip 2, I'm going to go in with a single, a half double, and a double, all in that same stitch. Now I just did the multiples of 3 plus 1. When I made the baby blanket that I showed you, the Frosted Petals, I started with a chain of 100, so 99 plus 1, and that's what ended up with the border. It ended up being the 36 by 38, and I'll have that in the pattern. But again, if you want to adjust your length or your width, you'll have to adjust it accordingly and figure out how much yarn you're going to need as well. All right, so we've got 3 chains left. So what we're going to do is skip the next 2 chains, 1, 2, and in the last one, we're just going to put a half double crochet. Okay. And that's our foundation row. And that's what it looks like there. All right. So then for row 2, which is your repeat row, we're going to chain 2, and that counts as your first half double crochet. All right, so chain 2, turn your work. Now, because this counts as your first double crochet, you are not going to use this stitch here because this is counting as this stitch. All right, so then what you're going to do is skip the next 2 stitches, okay? Or sorry, you're going to, that counts as your first. Then you're going to put in this first double crochet here from the row below, you're going to put your single crochet, half double, and then the double. And here comes all the yarn burr. Okay. Let me get that untangled a little bit there. I think we're good entangled. All right, so then you're going to start the repeat where you skip 2. So you're going to skip 1, 2, and then you're going to put, you're going to get to the point where you can easily recognize where you're going to put your stitches. It's always going to be putting it into the double crochet from the row below. So you're skipping 1, skipping 2, and this one, you're going to put your single crochet, half double crochet, and your double crochet. You're going to skip 2, then you're going to go with your single crochet, half double crochet, and a double crochet. And this is what we're repeating across until we get towards the end. So I'll go a little slower again here. So we're going to skip 2, skip 1, skip 2. So we're skipping these 2 here. Okay, and then in the third one, the double crochet, we're going to do our single crochet, half double crochet, and our double crochet. Skip the next 2. In the third one, which happens to be the top of the double crochet from the one below, going in with our single, half double, and our double crochet. This yarn's going to drive me mad. All right, so then skipping 2, we're going with a single, half double, and a double crochet, all in that same space. Now, you'll notice that's the last one, but what we're going to do is you're going to, there's technically 3 stitches left. It's just hard to see. There's 1 here, 1 here, and then your turning chain, which is a little harder to see because it's part of your starting chain that you did. So what you're going to do is do a half double crochet in the top of that starting chain, which is when we skipped we skipped 3 stitches and we worked into the 4th chain from the hook. Those 3 chains that we left behind are where you're putting in the top, you're putting your half double crochet in the top of that essentially turning chain. So then we're going to chain 2, which counts as your first stitch. So again, you're not going to work anything in this one. We're leaving that alone because the starting chain or turning chain counts as that stitch. Then in the very next double crochet, which is the double crochet from the row below, we're going to go in with our single crochet, half double crochet, and double crochet. And this is just repeating row 2, including the yarn tangles. So then again, we're going to skip 2 stitches. So skipping this one and this one. In the next one, we're going in with a single, half double crochet, and double crochet. Okay, I have to get this untangled again. It's super knotted is what the issue is. And it just seems to be the more I try to pull it out, the more I'm making it worse. So and I have a feeling I'm going to have to untangle it even more. So let me get it as good as I can for now. All right, so then we're going to skip 2, put our single crochet in the next one, our half double crochet, and our double crochet. And that finishes that section. Skip 2, just keep repeating. Single, half, and double. Skip 2. In the next one, a single, a half, and a double. Sorry for this yarn not cooperating. It's being a bit of a pain, but it happens to us all. All right, skipping 2. We're going into the third one with the single, half double, oops, that happens to the best of us too, half double, and then a double crochet. Now that finishes off the last solid section, so we're going to do a skip 2, so we're skipping, and then we're going to put a half double crochet in the top of that turning. And make sure you get both your, it's a little finicky until you can get situated here. You want to make sure you get both strands. And then we're going to, nope, see, wait, yep, I got the 2. Okay. Then a half double. Chain 2. And what you're going to do is repeat row 2 until you have the desired length. All right. So what I'm going to do off camera for a few minutes is work some rows and get this blasted yarn untangled. I'm going to work some rows and then I'm going to show you how I did the border. All right, but this is, as I said, very beginner friendly because it's a 1 row repeat once you get your foundation row done. Okay, so this is what we have so far. It's pretty, like there's lovely stitch definition, and this yarn is just super light and very drapey. All right, so I'm going to put you on pause here, and I'm going to go and make some more rows, and then I'll come back and I'll show you what I did with the border. Be right back. All right, welcome back. So I worked up a few more rows. I'm not going to worry about weaving in my end because I'm just going to show you what I did. So this is what I finished with. So your project will obviously be much larger, especially if you go with the 100 starting chains, or if you make it bigger. To do a bigger throw, you'll have a much bigger piece, but this is just a sample size, okay? So for the border, what I wanted to do to make it look a little neater is I'm doing 2 rows of single crochet around, and in each corner I'm going to have a single crochet, chain 2, single crochet. So I just found, because I didn't want to start right with the white, because then sometimes, especially when you're doing the sides, sometimes it can make it look a little less neat, if that makes sense, because it depends on if you happen to pick up a stitch a little unevenly, it's going to show more. Now I just I didn't do any kind of color planning. I just let the colors play out as they came throughout the skein, throughout the cake of yarn. So what you see is kind of what you get as it came out of my cake. So we're going to do 2 rows of single crochet in the petals color. Okay, then we're going to move on and we're going to do what looks like it might be a little more complicated, but it's really not. We're going to do 2 rows of the white in single crochet, and then the last row is a single crochet picot, and I'll show you how to do that, especially for the corners. The corners are not complicated at all. This is one of those things I like to call kind of like a Rice Krispie square blanket. It ends up looking like it was a lot harder to do than it actually was, because they always say Rice Krispie squares are great and they're not that hard to do. So anyway, so what we're going to do first is, this is where I would have ended, and I'm going to chain 1, and I'm going to turn my work, and I'm going to single crochet in each of the stitches across. Just make sure you're keeping your tension somewhat nice and even. It will all work out in the end here. So single crochet, nothing new to even a beginner crocheter. The single crochet is fairly straightforward. We're going to keep on going. All right, where am I? Here we go. Now we're coming to the first corner here. Now, all right, I'm going to go in here. I'm just kind of feeling my way. Then I'm going to, that's the turning chain there, okay? So that's going to be my corner. So I've got my chain one, or my first single crochet. I'm going to chain two, and I'm going to put a single crochet in the exact same spot. And that's our first corner. Now, this is where I was saying to you, sometimes you have to kind of eyeball. I'm going to put a single crochet in there. Now, I've got kind of a space here. I'm going to put 2 single crochets in there, and you're going to kind of eyeball it and see how it plays out for you. And then I'm going to put a single crochet in the next one. And I'm coming to a bigger space again, so I'm going to put 2. And I'm putting 1 in the next one. Then I'm going to put 2. Now we're coming to the corner. So in the next kind of hole here where we had our starting chain and we did our turn, I'm going to put 1 single crochet, chain 2, and a single crochet back in the exact same spot. And that's our second corner. Okay, so now we're going to work our single crochets across the bottom. And again, it's a little fiddly because this was your starting chain, so sometimes there's a little open space. Eyeball it, spread them out evenly so that it's not going to pucker on you, because there's no set stitches to really put them into like you did across the top there. So you're going to have to do some kind of look at it. Is that going to spread out, be kind of, it's not puckering, it's spread out evenly. It looks good. So then we're going to keep on going. And sometimes you see, I don't like how that sits, so I'm going to go back it up a little bit. And I think I'll go in here, because it just looked like it was spread apart too far. And then in this one, we're going to probably put 2. We're coming to our end of the round here. So in the next one, I'm going to put 1 in here, and that's going to be my corner. So I'm going to chain 2 and put a single crochet in the same spot. And I'm going to try to just kind of crochet over my tail to get rid of my end. And again, because we're going up the side, we're going to kind of pace out and spread out our single crochets. So I would put another one in there. Get that tail out of the way. 1 in the next. And I'm going to keep working across, making sure that they're nice and they're not puckering on me. Looking pretty good. We got a fairly open space here, so this is where we were putting our 2. And then 1 in the next. And another one there, because it was open. All right, we're coming up to the end where we started. So we're there. I'm going to put 1 in here and another one. And I'm going to cut this tail off because it's getting in the way now, but we've got it buried enough that we can do that. And I'll show you how to finish this round. There's that. So now we're at the end of this round. Come on now, cooperate with me. But we had already done the chain 2, or we had already done the single crochet, so now we just need to do the chain 2, and we're going to slip stitch to the top of that first single crochet. And there we go. So now we do another round of the single crochets. So I'm going to chain 1. I'm going to put a single crochet in the same space and single crochet across. Until I get to the corner. And when I get to that corner chain 2 space, I'm going to put a single crochet, chain 2, single crochet. I'll show you once I get to the corner here. My color is changing, so hopefully you can still see that fairly well. We're coming up to that corner. And you can feel where that corner is. So I still have 1 stitch to put in. Now I'm going to go feel that again. I got to put a single crochet, chain 2, and then a single crochet in that same space. And that brings us around. Now, what I would like you to watch for is when you're coming around. See here? This one here? That's a stitch. Don't jump over to this one here. Otherwise, it's going to pull your corners in. You want nice square corners. So you want to use that. Don't miss that stitch towards the corner. Okay. So we're going to keep going across. You see what I mean? See how that makes a nice square corner? If you had to skip that 1 stitch, it would have pulled it in and made it more rounded. You don't want that. You want a nice, crisp, clean corner. All right, we're coming up to the next corner. All right, so in this one, we're going to do a single crochet, chain 2, single crochet in the same space of the corner. And again, don't skip this one, because some people will automatically jump over, but again, that's going to pull your corner. So make sure you don't skip that one. You want it to look as neat as possible. We're just going to work our way around with just the single crochets, and at each corner space we're going to do a single crochet, chain 2, single crochet. All right, coming up to the next corner here. Once you get that first round of single crochets done, it goes a lot quicker because you know where you're putting your hook and your stitches. So there, chain 2 and a single crochet. And again, don't forget that little corner stitch for your nice crisp corners. All right, working across our last side here, coming up to the first corner where we picked up. All right, now we're going to single crochet, chain 2, and because we started there, we're just going to slip stitch to the top of that chain 1 space. And then we're going to fasten off because that is the end of the petals. Okay. Now we're going to switch over to the white. Let me just grab my white here, move the petals out of the way so I don't get tangled up more than I already am. Now what I like to do is make another slip knot and attach my hook. If my fingers will cooperate, and attach my hook, my yarn to the hook. Okay. Then what I'm going to do in that first corner, actually I'll pick another one, so I can pick another corner so I can go over the edges. I'm going to just yarn over, bring out my hook, and just kind of tighten that down. Then I'm going to chain one, and that will count as my single crochet in the corner. Then I'm going to work my way across and go around just like we did with the petal color for the first 2 rounds. And I'm going to do 2 rounds of the white. So a single crochet in each stitch, in each corner a single crochet, chain 2, single crochet. All right, so we're coming up to the corner. And then I'm going to do a single crochet, chain 2, single crochet in that corner, and keep on going across. So what I want you to do is do 2 rounds of the white with a single crochet, and then I'll meet you back here to show you how to do the picot for the final edging. All right, be right back. Okay, so I'm coming up to the final part of my second round of single crochet using the white. And as I get to the corner, I'm going to put a single crochet, chain 2, and then I'm going to slip stitch to the top of the chain 1. Now, what I want you to do for this final round is I want you to slip stitch over to the next one. And you'll see why, because I want to leave that corner as by itself. So I'm going to chain 1, I'm going to single crochet in the same space, then I'm going to single crochet, but then I'm going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and then I'm going to slip stitch right in between. Let me get one of my needles here. I know it's harder to see with the white on white, but where we made our single crochet right here, I'm going to slip stitch in between the 2 legs, the V that the single crochet makes. I'm going to put my hook in there and slip stitch. So I'm going to go in here, put the yarn over the hook, pull the yarn through, and then pull it through again. Then I'm going to single crochet in the next one, then do a single crochet, chain 3, and then I'm going to do the slip stitch in between those 2 legs. Make sure you're getting both the front and the back, and then I'm going to yarn over and pull through, and pull through. Single crochet in the next, and that's going to be our repeat across. Then we're going to single crochet, chain 3, slip stitch by going through the middle of the single crochet you just made, and then single crochet in the next one. So you're going to alternate single crochet, chain 3, and then slip stitch between the legs of that single crochet, single crochet, single crochet, chain 3, and then again slips, put your hook in between those 2 legs, make sure you're coming out through the back in the middle of the stitch, yarn over, pull through, and pull through. You're slip stitching that together. And once you get the pattern of it down, it goes pretty quickly. So we're going to work this all the way to the edge, to the corner, and I'm going to show you here. You want to, in the corner, if everything works out well, you're going to have a single crochet first, and then in the corner you're going to do a single crochet, chain 3, and do your slip stitch through the thing, through the single crochet. But then in the corner again, do a single crochet, chain 3, and then do your slip stitch. So in the corner you're putting 2 of those picots. Then what I want you to do is also in the next stitch, which is that tiny little corner one that I kept warning you not to miss, do the same thing. And you're going to make your picot. And then in the next stitch you're going to do your single crochet, and then keep going with your picots. All right, so then single crochet, chain 3, and then put your hook in between those 2 legs, slip stitch to anchor the picot, single crochet in the next. Then I'm going to show you here, this is what makes your corner. All right, so basically in the corner you're going to have 2 of the single crochets with the picot attached, and then in the very next stitch you're going to put the same thing, a single crochet with the picot attached, which gives you your nice 3 in the corner. All right, so then again across each side you're going to do the single crochet, then single crochet, chain 3 to make your picot until you get to your next corner. Now let's see what my counts are like, because if we run into the possibility of the count not being quite right, which can happen, I want to show you what you would do, because you just kind of fudge it to make it work, because you've already put enough into this that you're not ripping it apart to compensate and redo something when it's quite okay to kind of manipulate the border to suit you. So let me get across. I keep wanting to do single crochet when I want to do the slip stitch. All right, we're getting towards the edge here, the corner. One, 2, 3, slip stitch in between those legs, single crochet. Okay, so it's going to work out again for me too, but because yeah, it will. What I want to show you, say for some reason you're like, oh, you get to the corner, get them together. You get to the corner and you only have 1 stitch left, because really I should have done a picot in the next one, single crochet, and then I would be to the corner where I can do 2 picot stitches. But say you get here and you're like, oh, I can't do. What you're going to do is basically skip this stitch, and then you're going to do a single crochet with your picot on the top, and then do your slip stitch in there, and then you'll be right to the corner where you have to do a picot, and then do your second like mine would have worked out, so I'm kind of like fudging it here to show you what you would do so that you would make your corner work for you. Because you'll find, let me just get around here and get a couple more stitches in. So then you still get your nice neat corner like we wanted, and you can't tell that you've had to kind of fudge it because you had to skip a stitch to make it work. Mine looks a little close, but it ends up making your corners, you can still work with it, okay? Because that, by doing it a little snugger, you're pulling everything together and it keeps the spacing and it works, okay? So if you come to your corner and you're like, I don't think that looks right because I think that's an extra stitch or your short one, just kind of work around it. You can still make it work, okay? All right, so you're going to keep working around, which I'll do off camera here in just for a second. And when I get back to the end, I'll show you how to finish off the last corner and fasten off for your border. Be right back. Okay, welcome back. So I'm come up to the last corner. So I'm going to put my single crochet, chain 3, then slip stitch between the single crochet legs. Then I'm going to do another single crochet, chain 3, slip stitch between the legs. And then the reason I got you to kind of slip stitch over to the next stitch, so that when we turn around and put the next single crochet in the corner, that little space that I keep warning you not to skip, we're going to single crochet, chain 3, and then slip stitch in between the legs of the single crochet, and then we're going to just slip stitch to the chain 1, and we're going to fasten off. Oh, these scissors are terrible. Fasten off, secure our yarn, and then we ended up with a nice symmetrical corner like we have in the other corners. Okay, so that was the whole purpose of having you start and slip stitch over to the next stitch, so that you could leave that corner and finish it as one solid piece, so you didn't have to worry about trying to slip stitch to the top of anything in the corner. So that finishes the border, and you get your nice picot edges. It kind of looks weird with it was the only part of the color change. So again, on the blanket, it works out really well, makes it nice and pretty, and the holes aren't that big. They look, the camera's kind of zoomed in, and it's nice soft material. Both yarns I used are washable and dryable. And again, you'll need 2 cakes of the baby cakes, and not even quite half a skein of the Loops and Threads Soft Classic in white, or whatever you might decide not to use white as your border. So all you have to do then is weave in your ends. There's no blocking really required. You can wash it if you want it to soften up a little bit, but other than that, that is the Frosted Petals throw or baby blanket. Specifically, I did it as the baby blanket, but again, you could customize by however many starting chains you wanted. So if you have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comment section, or pop by the live stream on Thursdays at 8 o'clock Atlantic and let me know what your question is, and I will try to give you some help. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please feel free to do so. I've got lots of other videos there that might be helpful or interesting for you. And if you've popped back and you've already subscribed, thanks for coming back, and thanks for sticking with me. I appreciate it. All the support is very appreciated. So take care, and if you do decide to make this, let me know how you get along, what colors you used. I'd love to see. Sometimes I find it hard to get inspired for what color combinations work, and sometimes seeing someone else's project can just kind of trigger something. You're like, oh, I could use this stitch with this yarn and put it with this yarn, and that would look fantastic. So hopefully this inspires you to make a blanket of your own, and I'd love to see some of your other projects, because you can post on the community tab on YouTube some pictures now as well. So all right, well, take care, and I look forward to seeing you on the lives or the next video, and stay tuned. There's lots more coming to the channel. Take care, and happy crocheting or knitting or crafting, whichever is your preference. Thank you.